Good morning and welcome. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful day. I think at this time, we'd like to ask all of our students and faculty to start making their way to the back of the tent. Thank you. Anna, you want Bob and I to go to the back after? We'd like to thank you all for joining us. Commencements will begin in approximately 5 minutes. We'd like to ask everyone if you could please take your seats.
Welcome, everyone, to the 2024 Vanderbilt University Graduate School Diploma and Hooding Ceremony. You may be seated. I am Andre Christie Mizell, Vice Provost for Graduate Education and Dean of the Graduate School. It is my pleasure to be here with you and to share in this celebration of your incredible achievements. Congratulations, graduates. I admire and appreciate your dedication to scholarship. You have played a vital role in our Vanderbilt community. Today is a singular day in your academic journey. It not only marks the culmination of your hard work, sacrifice, and perseverance, but also signifies a beginning, the start of the next part of your life and the great opportunities that lie ahead. There are experiences in our lives where we have to hold a duality of emotions, and graduation is one of those. Thinking back to my own graduation ceremony, I vividly remember both the feelings of anxiety and uncertainty that I felt, as well as the feelings of excitement for the expansiveness of opportunity that the future might hold. The completion of your degree is a remarkable achievement. You should be extremely proud. As you have heard me say many times, the Graduate School is committed to supporting each of you as both scholars and human beings. During your training, you have intensely focused on the quest to pursue new ways of seeing and shaping the world. Undoubtedly, you represent the next generation of scholars who will do cutting-edge research and will help create policies and develop innovative solutions for the most challenging issues facing society. But I want to remind each of you that you're human beings first. Your scholarship is an important part of your life's work and contribution to the greater good, but so are your relationships, your family, your friends, and your community. Before we move forward to honor and celebrate each of you as you walk across this stage, I want to acknowledge those who have helped and worked with you to make this day a reality. 436 of you will be graduating here today. But look around you. This tent is full of people who have supported you in getting to this point. First, I want to recognize your faculty mentors and advisors for their commitment to guiding you toward making your own scholarly, independent contributions. From multiple readings of thesis or dissertation drafts, to offering guidance as you prepared for job interviews, these mentors care deeply about you and your success. Second, I am grateful to your other academic colleagues, peers, and friends who provided a supportive structure that enabled you to persist and be successful. The camaraderie that can be found with others on the same educational journey cannot be overstated. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, I appreciate your families who made sacrifices of their own to support you on your educational journeys. Their pride, love, support, and steady belief in your potential have allowed you to reach new heights, not just today, but in the months and years leading up to this moment. Despite this time of celebration, there are many other things in the world causing us a great amount of concern and posing complex challenges. You are an incredibly resilient group of students. Many of you experienced a global pandemic during the course of your studies, which challenged all of us to rise to the occasion in ways that we never imagined. Adaptability, innovation, and allowing yourself and others some grace have been essential to your success. Our humanity and our ability in times of crisis to support each other with kindness and understanding are what propel us forward. It is important to acknowledge the unique backdrop against which we stand today. This year has brought challenges marked by the fervor of political discourse, heightened by the fact that it's an election year. This has underscored the need for patience in navigating differing viewpoints and fostering understanding through open dialogue. Despite the uncertain nature of these times, let us remember that patience can guide us toward unity, empathy, and progress. Graduates, as I was contemplating what message I had to share with you today, I kept coming back to this idea of patience. This virtue seems to be slipping away in our fast-paced world. We have come to rely on the ability to get information and expect action immediately. And as a result, we miss what can be gained by practicing patience. Patience is a virtue that holds the power to transform our lives and shape our future in ways that we may not fully comprehend. Patience is more than just a virtue. It is the thread that weaves through the fabric of our lives, and if practiced, can lead to greater fulfillment and success. In a society that demands instant gratification and quick results, patience often takes a backseat. But research tells us otherwise. Studies have shown that patience is an active choice that can have profound effects on our mental health and overall well-being. Patience reduces stress, helps us achieve our goals, makes us better friends and neighbors, and ultimately paves the way for success in all aspects of life. In a study by Fuller Theological Seminary professor Sarah Snitker and UC Davis psychology professor Robert Emmons, they found that patient people tend to experience less depression and negative emotions and report fewer health problems. People who practice patience regularly are better at coping with stressful situations, which in turn reduce the damaging effects of stress on our health. We all have to wait for things to unfold in our lives, and what we learn in the waiting can be powerfully beneficial. Whether we are pursuing our dreams, navigating personal relationships, or facing unexpected challenges, patience is, in fact, the constant that guides us through the ups and downs of life. Tolstoy wisely noted, "The two most powerful warriors are patience and time." This conceptualization reminds us that patience is not passive, but rather an active choice, a choice to maintain a positive attitude and persevere in the face of adversity. Patience allows us to be persistent. Think about your educational journey. You likely had to be persistent. As I hope you have come to learn throughout your time at Vanderbilt, failure is an important part of the journey. This experience is also universal to all people. Within the adversities we face lie the opportunities to grow in new ways and to move forward. You may have failed multiple times before achieving success. It was not your intellect alone that propelled you forward, but your patience and determination to see your vision and your research come to fruition. Drawing on our own shared humanity and having the empathy to care about the struggles of others allows us to be good community members who serve, support, and work for change on behalf of others. Sarah Schnitker, the researcher mentioned earlier, also investigated whether patients help students get things done. In one study, students were asked to complete 5 surveys over the course of a semester. The results suggested that patient people report exerting more effort to achieve their goals than others. But patience is not just about waiting for external circumstances to change. It is also about cultivating patience within ourselves. It is about embracing self-compassion and understanding that growth takes time. It is about acknowledging our setbacks and failures not as roadblocks, but as stepping stones on the path to personal development. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "Adopt the pace of nature. Her secret is patience." Nature teaches us that great things take time to unfold. Just as a seed needs the right conditions to sprout and grow, we must also nurture our dreams and aspirations with patience and perseverance. And let's not forget the importance of extending patience beyond ourselves and into our interaction with others. This is especially important in today's climate. It is through patience that we cultivate wisdom to navigate disagreements with empathy and understanding, fostering harmony and unity in our communities. We can harness the transformative power of patience to bridge divides and seek common ground. Patience with others is the ultimate form of kindness. By taking on some personal discomfort and being more empathetic and forgiving of others, we can build deeper connections and trust. As you prepare to enter the next chapter of your lives, I hope you will remember the importance of both patience and time. I challenge you to embrace patience as it will lead you toward a future filled with promise and possibility. So, as you venture forth from Vanderbilt, armed with patience as your anchor, let us now return to why we are here today, to celebrate your hard work and tenacity. Graduates, we are celebrating you as the next generation of scholars and leaders who will help us find solutions to our nation's and the world's most pressing problems, both now and in the future. You completed theses and dissertations that future scholars will build upon in their own work. You exhibited patience and persisted, likely when there were times you did not feel like doing so. And most importantly, you provided partnership, support, mentorship, and care of others in our community. Although we have many disciplines represented here, we are one community. This is indeed a moment for all of us to celebrate. Graduates, as you embark on your journey beyond Vanderbilt, carry the virtue of patience with you always. Embrace the challenges that lie ahead with courage and resilience, knowing that with patience and persistence, anything is possible. In conclusion, congratulations on your high achievements. I'm proud of you and our entire community. Thank you for making Vanderbilt your home over these past few years, and as we send you into the world, please know that you will always be a valuable part of this community. I have no doubt that you will do great things in the world. Thank you. Would the faculty marshals please bring forward the candidates for master's degrees? So that each candidate's name will be heard when it is called, I'd like to request that you hold your applause until after all degrees are awarded. If possible, please remain seated until all degrees have been conferred.
Kartika Kusumadui, Economics. Salma Abu Hamda, Medicine, Health and Society. Irene Peter Chibuaye, Economics.
Rima Navayan, Economics.
Julia Cherie Dixon, History.
Kihan Gao, History of Art.
Derek Marcel Green, Medicine, Health and Society. Farah Walid Hamouda, Sociology. Mingxie Liu, Economics. Faisal Ahmed Mashroor, Economics. Peace Valina Nyambeza, Economics. Iniolua Oyebimpe Oyetunji, Economics. Nam Phuong Phan, Economics. Brittany Augustina Rose, Sociology. Jiakun Shi, Economics. Sophia Marie Singer, Medicine, Health, and Society. Yuhan Sun, Economics. Natalie Nicole Thomas, Medicine, Health, and Society. Nathan Trimble, History. Destiny Wiley Yancey, History.
Jingya Wang, Economics.
Julius Mathieu Russell Joubert, Economics. Francis Do Yao Abaglo, Electrical and Computer Engineering. Khan Alp, Biomedical Sciences. Samantha Savina Armijo, Data Science. Soon Min Bayek, Computer Science. Victoria Indy Belkacun, Computer Science. Nicholas Bauman, Biomedical Sciences. Zachary William Brash, Computer Science. Mary Sterling Brown, Computer Science. Francois-Marie Jean Brich, Data Science. Christopher Matthew Castillo, Biomedical Engineering. Sovan David Cheng, Data Science. Jaewoo Anthony Cho, Data Science.
Kit Connolly, Data Science.
Alexandra Svetanovska, Data Science. Hunter Vaughn Dolly, Data Science. Shishan Deng, Data Science. Leslie C. Dennington, Computer Science. Devia, Computer Science. John Charles Ford III, Computer Science. Ariel Brene Fortune, Biomedical Sciences. Abhishek Gaur, Computer Science. Mukund Gupta, Mechanical Engineering. Ningyu Han, Data Science. Seth Hanft, Computer Science. Campbell Robinson Hedrick, Computer Science. Matthew David Heelman, Computer Science. Kimora Lee Hudson, Biomedical Sciences. Joseph Michael Jakowski, Cognitive Psychology in Context. Vijay Jalahal, Civil Engineering. Paul Edward Johnson IV, Computer Science. Ishan Kaul, Computer Science. Tiffany Lee, Data Science. Changzhou Li, Data Science. Manda Lee, Computer Science. Shuiyuan Li, Data Science. Jiaying Liang, Data Science. Kenneth Liao, Biostatistics. Shifan Lin, Data Science. Daniel Lopez, Earth and Environmental Sciences. Yunfei Liu, Data Science. Parisa Madani, Computer Science.
Edward Masterson, Computer Science.
Ethan Hunter Mayer, Electrical Engineering. Maggie McCorkle, Biomedical Sciences. Melissa E. McKay, Mechanical Engineering. Elena Nakia McQuay, Computer Science. Brian Matthew Michaelak, Data Science. Rupak Mohanty, Computer Science. Rachel Montgomery, Data Science. Dylan Ray Morris, Computer Science. Patrick Muradaz, Computer Science. Zara Nasir, Computer Science. Adit Negi, Computer Science. Phuc No, Computer Science. Phuong Tao H. Nguyen, Data Science. Jordan Marie Newsma, Data Science. Yoon Ji No, Data Science. Aditya Pamulaparti, Electrical Engineering. Raya Patel, Biomedical Sciences. Jessica Phelan, Computer Science. Jesse Odame Phillips, Computer Science. Bowen Chu, Computer Science. Anthony Michael Quagliata, Data Science. Juliana Quay, Chemical and Physical Biology. Pramod Kalhara Rajaguru, Data Science. Benjamin Ray, Computer Science. Daniel Eric Rosen, Data Science. Ryan Anthony Samarakun, Computer Science. Nicole Suzanne Sarna, Biomedical Engineering. Pooja Satish, Computer Science.
Sarah Schuster, Biomedical Sciences.
Bimal Shah, Computer Science. Brian Sharber, Computer Science. Zhengyu Shen, Computer Science. Jiayu Shi, Data Science. Hannah Marie Slater, Biomedical Informatics. Minwoo Son, Data Science. Justin William Sumner, Computer Science. Qifeng Sun, Data Science. Uday Suresh, Biomedical Informatics. Sophia Mazen Tanir, Data Science. Cody Brandt Tate, Earth and Environmental Sciences. Alexander Edward Toller, Chemistry. Irene Vidalia, Computer Science. Mark Garrett Van Gilder, Computer Science. Amog Vig, Data Science. Shinran Wang, Cognitive Psychology in Context. Maxwell Isaac Wegner, Biomedical Sciences. Yuning Wu, Data Science. Xiaoman Xu, Data Science. Juliana Young, Chemical Engineering. Yahan Young, Data Science. Jiting Ye, Computer Science. Jihao Yu, Data Science. Xuerong Zhang, Biomedical Engineering.
Kenru Zhou, Computer Science.
Reiqi Jiao, Data Science.
Nelson Torres, Computer Science. Gavani Quattrochi, Cognitive Psychology in Context. Chandrakanta Strudia Papu, Data Science. Ruize Yao, Computer Science. Edmund Howe, Data Science.
Jana Ellen Brennan, Master Liberal Arts and Science. Michael L. Dodson, Master Liberal Arts and Science.
Heidi Monique Hart, Master of Liberal Arts and Science.
Christopher Arian Schinover, Master Liberal Arts and Science. Jamie Scott Toll, Master Liberal Arts and Science. Beatrice Goodall, Engineering Management. Tara Avery, Civil Engineering. Lydia Beebe, Engineering Management. Yash Bhavsar, Civil Engineering. Kartik Desai, Civil Engineering. Lee Chester, Engineering Management. Jingwen Du, Risk, Reliability, and Resilience. Brianne Gross, Engineering Management. Rebecca Hood, Engineering Management. Daniel Hudson, Engineering Management. Ashley Jeter, Engineering Management. Nathan Jett, Engineering Management. Eveline Jose, Engineering Management. Aaron Kerr, Engineering Management. Matush Kimzal, Engineering Management. Yash Katari, Civil Engineering. Noah Lundquist, Engineering Management. Celia Majorano, Engineering in Surgery and Intervention. Brian Marsloff, Engineering Management. Nicholas Maschiadri, Engineering Management. Tessa Munschauer, Engineering Management. Navya Nagareddy, Civil Engineering. Adebayo Oladele Ajose, Engineering Management. Victor Pa, Civil Engineering. Dharmik Ashish Kumar Patel, Civil Engineering. James Pulowski, Engineering Management. Charles Popplewell, Engineering Management. Siva Parvati Ravapati, Civil Engineering. Kevin Scott, Engineering Management. Ethan Townsend, Engineering Management. James Tyndall, Engineering Management. Harika Vanguru, Civil Engineering. Satvika Veeravalli, Engineering Management. Vishvaishvarananda Visavale, Civil Engineering. Andy Vo, Engineering Management. Garrett Watson, Risk, Reliability, and Resilience. Rachel Wells, Engineering Management. Todd Wilmer, Engineering Management.
Please join me in congratulating our master's degree graduates.
Would the faculty marshals please bring forward the candidates for the Doctor of Philosophy degree? Again, we ask that you hold your applause. We ask that you hold your applause until the end so that each candidate's name may be clearly heard, and if possible, please remain seated until all degrees are conferred.
Dr. Jordan Reese Jurinsky, Community Research and Action. Dynamic Ecology of Adolescent Recovery, a mixed methods exploration of the individual, family, and school contexts of adolescent recovery. Dr. Jorge Rua Fernandez. Biochemistry. Understanding the mechanism of HMCES DNA protein cross-link removal and its importance in human cells. Accompanied by Professor David Cortez. Dr. Heather Marie Bradford, Nursing Science. Weight bias among midwives toward patients with higher body weights. Accompanied by Professor Jeremy Neal. Dr. Rosalind M. DeLisser, Nursing Science. Work environment, psychological safety, and burnout. A mixed methods exploration of nurse practitioner experiences. Accompanied by Professor Deoni Stoldorf and Professor Sheila Ridner. Dr. Krista Erica Harch, Nursing Science. The effects of a medication adherence mobile application among medically underserved patients with chronic illness. Accompanied by Professor Deoni Stoldorf and Professor Sheila Mulvaney. Dr. Hannah Garrison Nolte, Nursing Science. Women's responses to a mindfulness-based body scan. Accompanied by Professor Bethany Roten.
I'm here.
Dr. Jennifer Rivas, Nursing Science. The impact of organizational factors on appointment scheduling wait time, ASWT, in U.S. primary care. Accompanied by Professor Deoni Stoldorf. Dr. Bethany Christine Young, Nursing Science. Association of delirium with 3-month outcomes after non-traumatic subarachnoid hemorrhage. Accompanied by Professor Bethany Roten. Dr. Isaac Thomas Nichols Pies, Learning, Teaching, and Diversity. Classroom groups learning mathematics together. Accompanied by Professor Rogers Hall and Professor Angela Nichols Pies.
Dr. Saman Abbaspour, Psychological Sciences, Hippocampal Circuit Dynamics during Learning and Sleep in Freely Behaving Macaque Monkeys.
Dr. Alexandra Abu-Shmeis, Microbe-Host Interactions. Insights from the Memory B cell repertoire. Molecular motifs of viral reactivity. Accompanied by Professor Evelyn Georgiev. Dr. Catherine Elizabeth Adams, Chemistry. Synthetic strategies toward complex molecule synthesis, from glycan mimetics to complex terpenoids. accompanied by Professor Stephen Townsend.
Dr. Samuel John Dunham, Astrophysics. Dr. Haley Adams, Computer Science, designing mixed reality to improve spatial perception and accessibility.
Dr. Ibrahim Ahmed, Electrical Engineering, Adaptive Fault-Tolerant Control using Reinforcement Learning. Dr. James Ainuson, Computer Science, Learning Programs for Modeling Strategy Differences in Visuospatial Reasoning, accompanied by Professor Maitali Kunda. Dr. Moyosore Olorunfemi Ajayi, Environmental Engineering, Investigations into methane and carbon dioxide emissions, sources, and pathways in quaternary volcanic calderas in the western United States, accompanied by Professor John Ayers. Dr. Mohammed Abdullah M. Alalula, Civil Engineering, Impact Resistance of Corner-Supported Concrete Panels, accompanied by Professor P.K. Basu. Dr. Lucy McGill Alsip Volbrecht, Philosophy, Adversariality, Grandstanding, and Gender in Argument. Dr. Ashwat Al-Subai, Computer Science, a human-centered approach to improving adolescent real-time online risk detection algorithms, accompanied by Dr. Pamela Wisniewski. Dr. Brenna Denise Appleton, Molecular Pathology and Immunology. Oxidized lipid species promote atherogenic phenotypes in innate and adaptive cells, accompanied by Professor Amy Major.
Dr. Amit Garash Gafad, Mechanical Engineering, Subject-Specific Computational Fluid Structure Interaction Modeling of Type 1 Thyroplasty.
Dr. Jeremy Randy Byron Espano, Interdisciplinary Materials Science, Understanding the Crystalline Landscape of Metal Chalcogenide Materials, accompanied by Professor Janet McDonald and Professor Josh Caldwell.
Dr. Tianshu Bao, Computer Science, Modeling Physics-Based Dynamic System Using Machine Learning, accompanied by Professor Taylor Johnson.
Dr. Rosa Gunas Bayrak, Computer Science, Computational Methods to Advance Individual Precision in Brain Mapping, accompanied by Professor Catherine Chang. Dr. Eric Paul Beadle, Cancer Biology, GLI2 mediated hedgehog signaling in sarcoma development and differentiation, accompanied by Professor Julie Rhodes. Dr. Nicholas Ryan Bednar, Political Science, Maintaining the American State, accompanied by Professor David Lewis. Dr. Behrouz Badani, Chemical Engineering, Engineering polarizability of Janus particles to achieve efficient self-propulsion. Dr. Caitlin Adriana Berg, Hearing and Speech Sciences, Defining the relationship between channel interaction and outcomes in adult cochlear implant users. Dr. Bryant O'Keefe Best, Learning, Teaching, and Diversity, Racial and Social Justice Work in an Educationally Indebted Community, accompanied by Professor Rich Milner. Dr. Joseph Hain Briere, Human Genetics, The Genetic Architecture of Diabetic Retinopathy, accompanied by Professor Todd Edwards.
Dr. Alec Aaron Brown, Biological Sciences, Characterization of Non-Coding Regions in the Human Pathogen Aspergillus fumigatus and its close non-pathogenic relatives, accompanied by Professor Antonis Rokas.
Dr. James Thomas Brown, Biomedical Informatics, Identifying and Addressing Constraints to Fair De-Identification and Data Sharing. Dr. Caitlin Rose Browning, Biochemistry, Conflict-Prone Genomes of Bacterial Pathogens During Infection. Dr. Pietra Taylor Bruni, Psychological Sciences, How Emotion is Felt in the Body, Investigating Interoception and Embodiment in Relation to Social Anxiety, accompanied by Professor Sohee Park.
Dr. Grace Bucky, Chemistry, Design and Fabrication of Electrochemical Sensors for Interleukin-6, accompanied by Professor David Cliffel. Dr. Laura Buckley, Learning, Teaching, and Diversity, Puente de Quintos para la Familia, a community-based dual-language narrative intervention to support language development of young Spanish-English DLLs, accompanied by Professors Ann Kaiser and Emily Phillips Galloway.
Dr. Francisco Augustine Calvash Meyer, Psychological Sciences, examining the significance of hemodynamic response function variability to psychopathology and development, accompanied by Professor David Zold and Professor Ashley Watts. Dr. Anna Catherine Carella, Political Science, differentiating the rights-based approach from other development approaches in theory and in practice, accompanied by Professor Brooke Ackerley. Dr. Laura Janelle Carter-Stone, Learning, Teaching, and Diversity, improvising toward vitality through teaching, considering Hull House, teacher education, and English language arts, accompanied by Professor Kevin Leander. Dr. Luis Carlos Carvajal Osorio, Economics, essays on the economics of education in middle-income countries, accompanied by Professor Leslie Turner. Dr. Caroline Suzanne Sensor, Cell and Developmental Biology, unraveling the mechanisms of apical cadherin-based adhesion in brush border and junction assembly, accompanied by Professor Matthew Teiska. Dr. Mary Bronwyn Lynette Chalkley, Cell and Developmental Biology, investigating the requirement for the gene TSC2 in early human neurodevelopment, accompanied by Professor Roger Chalkley and Professor Linda Seeley. Dr. Shuang Cheng, Biomedical Engineering, towards non-invasive, in-office detection of early-stage bladder cancer with digitally stained white light cystoscopy-guided polarization-sensitive optical coherence tomography, accompanied by Professor Audrey Bowden. Dr. Ting Young Chang, Psychological Sciences, the structure of abilities for ensemble perception, accompanied by Professor Isabelle Gauthier. Dr. Miguel Angel Chavez, History, Professionalizing Science, British Geography, Africa, and the Exploration of the Nile, accompanied by Professor Moses Ochonu. Dr. Jenna Rain Chiaro, Earth and Environmental Sciences, Mush architecture and processes in the reservoirs of a super-eruption scale magma system, captured by Fiamma glass, mineral, and bulk textures and compositions. Permian Ora Ignimbrite, Northern Italy, accompanied by Professor Guilherme Gualda and Professor Calvin Miller. Dr. J. Il Cho, Economics, essays on economics of environment, health, and culture, accompanied by Professor Christopher Carpenter. Dr. Eugene Chung, Community Research and Action, Bridging Boundaries, exploring the interplay of schools and communities in mitigating violence, accompanied by Professor Maury Nation.
Dr. Cameron Clark, English and Comparative Media Analysis and Practice, Black, Queer, and Trans Anthropocenes.
Dr. Jessica Ann Collins, Biochemistry, Type 2 topoisomerases, repurposing old enzymes for new drugs, accompanied by Professor Neil Osheroff.
Dr. Caroline Cahoon, Spanish and Comparative Media Analysis and Practice, Narrative Nomads, Resistance in the 21st Century African Hispanophone, accompanied by Professor Michelle Murray.
Dr. Ella Wendy Contreras Panta, Cell and Developmental Biology, A Tale of Two Stromal Components, Influence of Fibroblasts, Innate Lymphoid Cells Type 2, and Interleukin-13 in Stomach Metaplasia, accompanied by Professor Jim Goldenring. Dr. Bailey Anderson Copeland, Special Education, incorporating data triangulation to promote generalizable outcomes for function-based treatment of severe challenging behavior, accompanied by Professor Joseph Lambert.
Dr. Sahi Coso Diaz, Spanish and Comparative Media Analysis and Practice, Assemblages of Colonialism, Literature, Images, and Collection in Latin America, accompanied by Professor Ruth Hill.
Dr. Justin T. Critchlow, Biological Sciences, The Role of Immune Regulation in Host and Parasite Fitness. Dr. Michael Leon Crouch, Leadership and Policy Studies, Welcome Back Teacher, a quantitative exploration of teacher labor movement out of and returning to the classroom, and the impact of time away, accompanied by Professor Christopher Candelaria and Professor Sarah Crouch.
Dr. Angelique Nicole Crutchfield, Leadership and Policy Studies, The Quest for Equity, an examination of weighted student funding and site-based budgeting in Tennessee, accompanied by Professor Christopher Candelaria.
Dr. Joseph Vincent D'Amico IV, Electrical Engineering, Ultra-Low Overhead Arbitrary Waveform Generation as a Circuit Macro, augmenting the characterization of radiation-induced transient effects in highly scaled integrated circuits, accompanied by Professor Jeffrey Kaupila. Dr. Bethany R. Daniel, Learning, Teaching, and Diversity, Cultural and Linguistic Multiplicity as a Resource for Sense-Making in a Dual Language Immersion Teacher Education Context, accompanied by Professor Noel Agneti. Dr. Brad Allen Davidson, Cancer Biology, Improving Circulating Tumor DNA-Based Liquid Biopsy through Understanding Molecular Regulators of Cell-Free DNA Release, accompanied by Professor Ben Park. Dr. Jonathan Davies, Biological Sciences, Coronavirus non-structural protein interactions with endoplasmic reticulum proteostasis factors mediate infection, accompanied by Professor Lars Plate and Professor Sean Davies. Dr. Carlisle Rose DeJulius, Biomedical Engineering, Structural Optimization of Antioxidant Copolymers for Drug Delivery Applications, accompanied by Professor Craig Duval. Dr. Cara Ann Deloach, Leadership and Policy Studies, 3 papers on post-secondary access and success in Tennessee, accompanied by Professor Adela Solis. Dr. Chiara DiGravio, Biostatistics. Design and analysis methods for modern biomedical studies with longitudinal outcomes. Accompanied by Professor Jonathan Schildkraut and Professor Ran Tao. Dr. Christine Nicole Dickinson, Leadership and Policy Studies. 3 essays on how school counselors are shaped by and experience the U.S. education system. Accompanied by Professor Kelly Slay. Dr. Kelsey Maria Dillahay, Special Education, Dosage, Fidelity, and Child Outcomes in a Small Randomized Controlled Trial of EMT en Espagnol, accompanied by Professor Ann Kaiser. Dr. Adam D. Dodson, Physics, Phonon-Mediated Temperature Dependence of ER3 Positive Optical Transitions in Single Crystal ER203, accompanied by Professor Norman Tolk. Dr. Jenna Dombrowski, Biomedical Engineering, Nanovaccines and Dendritic Cell Processing for Anti-Cancer Therapies, accompanied by Professor Michael King. Dr. Danielle Marie Dorville, Spanish-Portuguese, Shouting Unsilenced, Black Female Positionality and Critique in Brazilian, Haitian, and Dominican Fiction, accompanied by Professor Ruth Hill. Dr. Anne-Sophie Dubosson, French, Guyane et Polynésie, de l'enfer vers au paradis, construction des espaces coloniaux tropicaux et émergence des voix autochtones. Dr. Callie Chandler Doolin, Chemistry, efforts towards understanding the formation of the arecanate sugar and the early biosynthesis of everninomycin D, accompanied by Professor Brian Bachman. Dr. Caitlin Elizabeth Elgart, Economics, Essays in the Economics of Education Policy, accompanied by Professor Leslie Turner. Dr. Tayfun Ife Ertop, Mechanical Engineering, Design, Sensing, and Control of Soft and Continuum Robots with Application to Medicine, accompanied by Professor Robert Webster. Dr. Paige Bennett Eiler, Special Education, Impact of a priori decision-making and response-guided decision-making on obtained effect sizes. Dr. Jethro Taylor Gaglione, Physics. Search for new physics at the Large Hadron Collider in a topology with a single tau lepton, missing transverse momentum, and a boosted jet, accompanied by Professor Alfredo Garola.
Dr. Bethany Gardner, Psychological Sciences, Learning to Comprehend and Produce Singular They, accompanied by Professor Meg Saylor.
Dr. Purbode Ghosh, Electrical Engineering, Fault Tolerance Design Approaches for Distributed Cyber-Physical Systems with Applications in Energy Systems, accompanied by Professor Gabor Karsai. Dr. Henry Christopher Gilbert, Computer Science, Optimizing AI Adaptability and Efficiency, a statistical approach to adaptive problem solving with generative AI. Dr. Derek A. Glaudemans, Computer Science. Interstate 24 Motion, a multi-camera vehicle tracking instrument for large-scale trajectory extraction, accompanied by Professor Dan Work. Dr. Daniel Gonzalez, Environmental Engineering. From Mountains to Bedforms, Multiscale Groundwater Dynamics and its Influence on Solute and Energy Fate and Transport, accompanied by Professor Jesus Gomez Velez. Dr. Sarah Elizabeth Goodale, Biomedical Engineering, Modeling Vigilance State Effects on Functional Magnetic Resonance Imaging Data, accompanied by Professor Katie Chang. Dr. Brittany Lynn Gosicki, Special Education, The Camouflaging Experiences of Adolescent Autistic Females in Inclusion, accompanied by Professor Robert Hodap. Dr. Nicolette Grace Granata, Psychological Sciences, Children's and Adults' Concepts of Disabilities. Dr. Yulene Guo, Civil Engineering, Prediction Uncertainty Quantification for High-Dimensional Problems, accompanied by Professor Sankaran Mahadevan.
Dr. Jennifer Gutman, English and Comparative Media Analysis and Practice. End Holocene Realism, the Contemporary Novel Between Epochs, accompanied by Professors Jay Clayton and Jennifer Fay.
Dr. Krista A. Happanen, Community Research and Action, Collective Action for Prevention and Health Promotion, Exploring the Role of Community Coalitions in Substance Misuse Prevention Ecosystems, accompanied by Professor Jyoti Gupta and Professor Rudy Happanen. Dr. Rachel Ann Hannibut, Community Research and Action, Beyond Digital Disconnection and Screen Time, Advancing the Study of Adolescent Digital Well-Being through Teen-Centric Methods, accompanied by Professor Velma Murray. Dr. Muhammad Nasrul Haq, Mechanical Engineering, Computational Modeling of the Hummingbird Escape Maneuver, accompanied by Professor Haoxiang Liu. Dr. Elizabeth Ann Hatmaker, Biological Sciences, Examining the Role of the Opportunistic Pathogen Aspergillus flavus in Human Infections, accompanied by Professor Antonis Rokas. Dr. Emily Michelle Hawes, Molecular Physiology and Biophysics, Regulation of Glucose 6-phosphatase Catalytic Subunit 2, G6PC2, Expression and Activity. Dr. George Samuel Hayes, Computer Science, Analysis and Improvements of Human-Induced Security Failure Modes, accompanied by Professor Jules White. Dr. Ming Tse He, Mechanical Engineering, Manipulation and Design of Phonon and Plasmon Polaritons, accompanied by Professor Joshua Caldwell.
Dr. Rachel Heath, Religion, Christianity in Relationship, The Lure of Superiority in a World of Multiplicity, accompanied by Professor Emily Towns. Dr. Webster William Heath, English and Comparative Media Analysis and Practice, The Black Profile, Race and Media Technocultures in the United States, accompanied by Professor Anthony Reed.
Dr. Colin Henry, Political Science, Governance, Competition, and Extremism. How the structure of social media platforms radicalizes communities. Accompanied by Professor Cassie Dorff.
Dr. Jihe Hio, Economics, Essays on Product Bundling and Market Entry in Trade, accompanied by Professor Yuya Sasaki. Dr. Caitlin Herbert, Learning, Teaching, and Diversity, Exploring the Language Guidance in the Creative Curriculum for Preschool, an analysis of the written curriculum and teachers described enactment, accompanied by Professor Deborah Rowe.
Dr. Kayla Ann Hess, Chemistry, Developing New Approaches to Understanding Peptide Secondary Structure and Aggregation via Two-Dimensional Infrared Spectroscopy, accompanied by Professor Lauren Buchanan.
Dr. Amy Lynn Hill, German and Comparative Media Analysis and Practice, Death Does Not Become Her, the Figure of the Les Modernand and Abject Female Sexuality in Modern German Culture, accompanied by Professor Christoph Zeller.
Dr. Ryan Lee Hill, Political Science, Essays relating to dynamics of power and policy differences between states in the international system. Dr. Joseph Thomas Howard, Mechanical Engineering, Model-Based Design and Evaluation of Measurement Systems, accompanied by Professor Eric Barth. Dr. Alexander James Hughes, Chemistry, Total Synthesis of Ibogamine, Tabernanthine, Ervaophene J, and Ervaophene K, accompanied by Professor Stephen Townsend. Dr. Laura Janakiewski, Psychological Sciences, Searching for Meanings, The Impact of Young Children's Question Asking on Novel Word Retention, accompanied by Professor Megan Saylor. Dr. Garrison Lawrence Horswill Johnston, Mechanical Engineering, Design, Sensing, and Control for Safe Human-Robot Interaction in Confined Spaces, accompanied by Professor Haoxiang Luo. Dr. Barrett Jones, Biomedical Informatics, Evaluation of Machine Learning Methods for Prognostic and Adverse Event Risk in Major Depressive Disorder. Dr. Zhuangwei Kang, Computer Science, Principles and Techniques for Robust and High-Performance Cloud-Native Deep Learning Systems, accompanied by Professor Aniruddha Gokhale. Dr. Catherine Lynn Kapp, Chemistry, Plasma Proteomic Factors Associated with Sepsis Survival Outcomes, accompanied by Professor Renee Robinson. Dr. Benjamin Carl Kessler, Molecular Physiology and Biophysics, Testing mechanisms of long non-coding RNA regulation are the exist T6 locus in single cells, accompanied by Professor Gregor Neuert. Dr. Sarah McCarthy Kirschbaum, Political Science, Pathways to Participation, accompanied by Professor Cindy Kam.
Dr. Hannah Conklin Kistler, Leadership and Policy Studies, Teacher Development and Supply, accompanied by Professor Sean Doherty.
Dr. Madison Lynn Homan No, Learning, Teaching, and Diversity, Designing for Their Joy, an ethnographic investigation of middle school students' joyful mathematical learning. Dr. Alexandra Claire Koziel, Chemistry, Think Smaller, Understanding Selenium Pathways in Metal Selenide Nanocrystal Synthesis, accompanied by Professor Janet McDonald. Dr. Hilary Layden, Biochemistry, Redefining Mechanisms of Transcriptional Dysregulation in Diffuse Large B-Cell Lymphoma with Chemical Genetics and NBSP. Dr. Rabeb Layouni, Chemical Engineering, Investigation of Design and Surface Treatment of Porous Silicon for Robust, Selective, and Sensitive Optical Biosensing, accompanied by Professor Christina Karageorgiou. Dr. Alyssa Danielle Ledoux, Mechanical Engineering, Design and Evaluation of Soft Robotic-Powered Hand Orthoses to Assist the Neurologically Impaired, accompanied by Professor Eric Barth. Dr. Xiaobo Lin, Chemical Engineering, Molecular Modeling Study of Supercapacitors, Insights into Electrodes, Electrolytes, and Performance Optimization. Dr. Trudy Marie Little, Special Education, Examining the Effects of Practice-Based Coaching on Kindergarten Teachers' Use of Pyramid Model Practices, accompanied by Professor Mary Louise Hemeter and Professor Ann Kaiser.
Dr. Chimin Leo, Psychological Sciences, Categorical Latent State Trait Model, accompanied by Professor Meg Saylor. Dr. Zai-Tang Li, Computer Science, Patient-Specific Modeling of Cochlear Implants, accompanied by Professor Jack Noble.
Dr. Brandy M. Lachetta, Special Education, The Effects of Professional Development and Email Coaching Targeting Teacher-Implemented Relationship Strategies on Children's Social Interactions in an Inclusive Kindergarten Classroom, accompanied by Professor Mary Louise Hemeter. Dr. Maria Lopez Cavastani, Biomedical Engineering, Engineered Models and Therapeutics for Metastatic Colorectal Cancer, accompanied by Professor Michael King. Dr. Garen James Lorraine, Religion, Demonic Possibilities, Uncertain Futures and the Creation of Existences Nonetheless, accompanied by Professor Emily Towns.
Dr. Lama Toy San Lu, Religion, Identity, Community, Belonging, a Post-Colonial Asian American Kachin Baptist Ecclesiology, accompanied by Professor Emily Towns.
Dr. Yukwon Ma, Economics. 3 essays in double debiased machine learning and high-dimensional econometrics, accompanied by Professor Yuya Sasaki. Dr. Eric A. McPhail, Philosophy. The Production of Ideology. Human Productive Activity in Hegel, Marx, and Marcus, accompanied by Professor Lucius Outlaw. Dr. Lisa Marie Madura, Philosophy, Toward a Theory of Whiteness and Racial Habit, accompanied by Professor Karen Ng. Dr. Justin Michael Malave, Physics, Strongly coupled light matter phenomena investigated with algorithmic and formalistic density functional coupling schemes, accompanied by Professor Kalman Varga. Dr. Leah G. Mann, Neuroscience, Limbic Motor Networks and Action Control. Dr. Chad Allen Maxson, Religion, Revelation and Participatory Eschatology, a constructive evaluation of James K. A. Smith and Emmanuel Levinas, accompanied by Professor Paul DeHart. Dr. Kaylee J. McCrary, Economics, Essays on Political Economy and Public Economics, accompanied by Professor Brian Beach. Dr. Eli Fritz McDonald, Chemistry, Structural and Proteostatic Mechanisms of Cystic Fibrosis Corrector Response, accompanied by Professor Lars Plate and Professor Jens Myler. Dr. Meredith Evan McLean, Political Science, Strategic Presidential Unilateralism in the Face of Institutional and Public Sanctions, accompanied by Professor Charisse Thrower. Dr. Hidehis Figueroa Mesa, Leadership and Policy Studies, Local College Availability and College Outcomes, accompanied by Professor Adela Solis. Dr. Ziran Min, Computer Science, Dynamic Network Resource Management in IoT, accompanied by Professor Anirudha Gokhale. Dr. Nicole Catherine Moring, Interdisciplinary Materials Science, Proton Transport through 2D Membranes and its Applications, accompanied by Professor Piran Kidambi. Dr. Mark A. Nabhan, Chemical Engineering, Interfacing Proteins with Conducting Polymers for the Fabrication of Biohybrid and Biomolecular-Based Electronics, accompanied by Professor Kane Jennings. Dr. Arya Yogesh Naka, Molecular Physiology and Biophysics, Channeling Glycemia, the role of islet TOC1 gain and loss of function channels in CA2+ handling metabolism, hormone secretion, and insulin sensitivity, accompanied by Professor David Jacobson. Dr. Katrina No, Biological Sciences, predicting and characterizing the distribution of sites of repair-associated telomere addition in Saccharomyces cerevisiae.
Dr. Matthew Nice, Civil Engineering, a research testbed for experimental connectivity and automation in cars, accompanied by Professors Jonathan Sprinkle and Dan Work.
Dr. Dora Obodo, Chemical and Physical Biology, a statistical framework to quantify biological rhythms in genome-scale data, accompanied by Professor Amir Asiai. Dr. Kayla Dorothy Ontko, Molecular Physiology and Biophysics, the roles of arachidonic acid and docosahexaenoic acid-derived epoxides and their endocannabinoid derivatives in diabetes-induced retinal vascular inflammation, accompanied by Professor John Penn. Dr. Olivia Grace Eldridge Owens, Chemistry, Development of Electrochemical Biosensors to Study Preterm Birth, accompanied by Professor David Cliffel. Dr. Natalie S. Pack, Special Education, EMT en Español para Autismo, a single case design study, accompanied by Professor Ann Kaiser. Dr. Neelanjana Paul, Electrical Engineering, Reachability-based robustness verification of deep neural networks with emphasis on safety-critical time series applications, accompanied by Professor Taylor Johnson. Dr. Jessica Lee Peranchak, Special Education, Generality as an interaction between recombinative generalization and derived relational responding. Dr. Shrushti Shailesh Patel, Biomedical Engineering, Optimizing ternary nanocarriers for stable and non-toxic delivery of Richter mTOR-C2 RNAi against triple-negative breast cancer, accompanied by Professor Craig Duval. Dr. Yvette Perez, Biochemistry, Arrestin-mediated effector activation, accompanied by Professor Tina Iverson. Dr. Yakov Pichker, Biological Sciences, the coevolution of learned behaviors and genetic population structure and NBSP, accompanied by Professor Nicole Creanza. Dr. Jacqueline Piekos, Human Genetics, Exploring the Genetic Architecture of Uterine Fibroids, accompanied by Professor Digna Velez Edwards and Professor Todd Edwards.
Dr. Ronak Pillai, Psychological Sciences, examining the role of social information in the relationship between repetition and belief, accompanied by Professor Lisa Fazio.
Dr. Marnie Squires Pollock, Special Education, All Together Now, leveraging collaborative partnerships to promote skill acquisition for students with emotional behavioral disorders, accompanied by Professor Blair Lloyd. Dr. Andrew Ricardo Puente, Chemistry, studying chirality, conformational flexibility, and intermolecular interactions with chiroptical spectroscopy, accompanied by Professor Prasad Palavarapu. Dr. Hao Qiu, Electrical Engineering. Characterizing the temporal dependent system vulnerability in deep neural network applications on GPUs for cost-effective, fault-tolerant design. Accompanied by Professor William Robinson and Professor Enxia Zhang. Dr. Molly K. Richard, Community Research and Action. Racialized homelessness in the United States. Structural causes and community response. Accompanied by Professor Beth Shin. Dr. Kelly Ann Richardson, Chemistry. The development of blood-brain barrier cell culture models and relevant assessment tools. Accompanied by Professor David Cliffell and Professor Janet McDonald. Dr. Morgan Jill Ringel, Biomedical Engineering. Mechanics-based modeling for image guidance in breast-conserving surgery. Accompanied by Professor Michael Miga. Dr. Gabriella Lou Puig Robertson, Cell and Developmental Biology. Defective mitochondrial and peroxisomal dynamics impair neurogenesis. Accompanied by Professor Vivian Gama.
Dr. Katrina Volk Robertson, Molecular Physiology and Biophysics. Targeting microglial divalent metal transporter 1 in neuroinflammation and Alzheimer's disease.
Dr. Jessica Jean Rotman, Cancer Biology. Self-tumor reactive CD8 T cells enter a memory-like TCF1 plus PD1 dysfunctional state. Dr. Samantha Elizabeth Rogers, History, Public Politics and the Crisis of the Henrician Reformation, 1537 to 1540, accompanied by Professor Peter Lake.
Dr. Alexandra M. Rosado Roman, Religion, Decolonial Betrayals, Afro-Caribbean Feminist Activism in Puerto Rico, accompanied by Professor Emily Towns.
Dr. Charlotte Rose Sapo, Biomedical Engineering. An application-optimized array-compressed parallel transmit RF system for ultra-high field magnetic resonance imaging. Dr. Benjamin Bowen Schwartz, English. A connected idea of the lesson. Teaching and learning in African American literature. Accompanied by Professor Emily Lordy and Professor Rich Milner.
Dr. Amanda Yoshiko Shimizu, Learning, Teaching, and Diversity, Across Spaces, Writers, and Modes, Elementary Students Collaborative and Multimodal Composing with Digital Tools, accompanied by Professor Deborah Rowe.
Dr. Jennifer Hope Battle Schumann, Microbe-Host Interactions, Gastric Alterations in Response to Helicobacter pylori Infection, accompanied by Professor Timothy Cover. Dr. Rachel Elizabeth Siciliano, Psychological Sciences, Concordance of Emotional and Physiological Response Systems, and the Role of Emotion Regulation During Parent-Adolescent Conflict, accompanied by Professor Bruce Compass. Dr. Michelle Kimberly Sigona, Biomedical Engineering, Incorporating Patient-Specific Technologies for Transcranial-Focused Ultrasound Applications, accompanied by Professor Charles Caskey. Dr. Andrew J. Silati, Cell and Developmental Biology, Consequences of WDR5 Targeted Degradation in Human Cancer Cells, accompanied by Professor Bill Tanzi. Dr. K. Kwan Almond Sin, Religion, Giving Voice to the Voiceless, Neglected and Anonymous Women in Genesis 4-11, accompanied by Professor Chun Leong Xiao and Professor Annalisa Azzoni. Dr. Tucker Weldon Smith, Economics, 3 essays in Applied Microeconomics, accompanied by Professor Leslie Turner and Professor Debbie Steer. Dr. Eugene Son, Cell and Developmental Biology, Interplay of Intrinsic and Extrinsic Factors in Gastric Metaplasia, MIR 148A in chief cells and the involvement of telecytes, accompanied by Professor James Goldenring.
Dr. Sabrina Spicer, Chemistry, Mechanistic Insights of Oligosaccharide Modulation at the Host Pathogen Interface, accompanied by Professor Stephen Townsend.
Dr. Julie F. Stryken, Community Research and Action, Constructing Intimate Partner Violence Victimization Among Women of Color, accompanied by Professor Bradley Erford. Dr. Brandon Kyle Stacks, Mechanical Engineering, Effects of Particle Hydrodynamic Behaviors on the Electrochemical Performance of Slurry Electrodes, accompanied by Professor Hao Xiang Luo and Professor Daeyu Lee. Dr. Gordon Stein, Computer Science, a novice-friendly networked educational robotics simulation, accompanied by Professor Akosh Ledeksi. Dr. Haley Elizabeth Stubbs, Chemical and Physical Biology, Structural Basis of O-sialoglycan Recognition and Selectivity in A2-3 Selective Streptococcal Serine-Rich Repeat Adhesins and A2-6 Linkage-Specific Bacterial Siletransferases, accompanied by Professor Rob Stubbs.
Dr. Christopher Miloš Tasic, Environmental Engineering, Stable Equilibrium of the Ganges-Brahmaputra Meghna Delta, Balancing Elevation with Changes in Sea Level, Land Subsidence, Tides, and Fluvial Sediment Supply, accompanied by Professor George Hernberger.
Dr. Paul Vanisi Taufalele, Biomedical Engineering, Investigating the Mechanical and Behavioral Heterogeneity of the Tumor Microenvironment, accompanied by Professor Cynthia Reinhardt King. Dr. Abby Lynn Taylor, Special Education, an adaptation of Stay, Play, Talk for young children with internalizing behaviors, accompanied by Professor Mary Louise Hemeter. Dr. Brandy Taylor, Cancer Biology. NKG2A is a therapeutic vulnerability in immunotherapy-resistant MHC1 heterogeneous triple-negative breast cancer. Dr. Laura Beth Teal, Pharmacology. M5 muscarinic acetylcholine receptor modulation of mesolimbic dopaminergic reward circuits involved in opioid use disorder, accompanied by Professor Carrie Jones. Dr. John T. Terrell, Chemistry. Amine-containing anthracyclines covalently bind AP sites in DNA created by nitrogen mustards, resulting in reduced cell viability and leading to rapid strand scission via. Accompanied by Professor Carmelo Rizzo. Dr. Kimberly Claire Thibault, Neuroscience. the role of neuronal ensembles in the nucleus accumbens in cocaine use disorder. Dr. Emily Catherine Thompson, Hearing and Speech Sciences. Effects of remote microphone system use in home environments of preschool children with autism spectrum disorder. Accompanied by Professor Anne Marie Tharp. Dr. Nathaniel Min-Koi Tran, Health Policy and Services Research. Multi-level determinants of LGBTQ+ health across the life course. Accompanied by Professor Gilbert Gonzalez and Professor Stacy Dusatsina. Dr. Serena Chow Tran, Microbe-Host Interactions. Role of the CAG-Y Ver-B10 antenna projection in Helicobacter pylori CAG type 4 secretion system activity and assembly. Accompanied by Professor Timothy Cover. Dr. Katarina Trout, Political Science. Poisonous Insecurity, a political theory of the roots of racism in the architecture of colonialism. Accompanied by Professor Brooke Ackerley. Dr. Dominique Tunzi, Community Research and Action, Adolescent Anti-Racist Development, Constructs, Emotions, and School Socialization. Accompanied by Professor David Diel.
Dr. Harsh Vardhan, Computer Science, Advanced AI ML Approaches for CPS Design and Functional Correctness of LNC and CPS Operation, accompanied by Professor Janos Stepanovitz.
Dr. Ariana Catherine von Lersner, Cancer Biology, EV Fingerprinting, Resolving Extracellular Vesicle Heterogeneity using Multi-Parametric Flow Cytometry, accompanied by Professor Alyssa Weaver. Dr. Matthew Joseph Vukovic, Microbe-Host Interactions, Development and Application of Antibody Discovery Technologies in HIV-1 Infection and Multivalent Vaccination, accompanied by Professor Evelyn Georgiev. Dr. Stephen Craig Wall, Jr., Microbe-Host Interactions, Efficiently Mining the B-Cell Repertoire for Cross-Reactive Coronavirus Antibodies, accompanied by Professor Evelyn Georgiev. Dr. Marina Ray Walters, History, The Politics of the Scaffold, The Execution of Sir Walter Raleigh, accompanied by Professor Peter Lake. Dr. Kong Wang, Epidemiology, Accelerated Aging Among Breast Cancer Survivors, accompanied by Professor Xiao-O Xu. Dr. Chimeng Wang, Psychological Sciences, Functional Organization and Connections of the Posterior Parietal Cortex in Galagos, Otolemur garnetii, accompanied by Professor John Cass. Dr. Wenjun Wang, Biomedical Engineering, the Tumor Mechanical Microenvironment in Vascular Function and Diabetes, accompanied by Professor Cynthia Reinhardt King. Dr. Yanbing Wang, Civil Engineering, Reconstruction of Mixed Traffic Dynamics at Micro and Macro Scales.
Dr. Simon Jonathan Ward, Electrical Engineering, Improving Biosensor Performance Using Machine Learning and Signal Processing, accompanied by Dr. Sharon Weiss.
Dr. Lachlan Joseph Watkins, Economics, the economic and health effects of indoor radon. Dr. Valerie Francis Welty, Biostatistics, on false discovery rates for second-generation p-values. Dr. Lauren Elizabeth Wenger, Chemistry, Mechanochemical Exploration of the p-block, accompanied by Professor Timothy Hanusa. Dr. James Sebastian White, Cell and Developmental Biology, Analyzing Wound-Induced Polyploidy. Dr. Kaylee Marie Whitman, History, Faith in the World Community, Sue Bailey Thurman and Black Women's World Reconstruction, accompanied by Professor Dennis Dickerson. Dr. Michelle A. Wiebe, Microbe-Host Interactions, Determining the Role of Acidic pH Sensing and Resistance in Uropathogenic Escherichia coli Pathogenesis, accompanied by Professor Maria Hadjifrangiscu. Dr. Michael Patrick Wilbur, Computer Science, Data-Driven Algorithms for Smart Transportation Systems, accompanied by Professor Abhishek Dubey. Dr. Rachel Wolters, Microbe-Host Interactions, Characterization of Influenza Type B virus monoclonal antibodies, accompanied by Professor Catherine Gibson Corley. Dr. Hope Woods, Chemical and Physical Biology, Development of Frameworks for Computational Protein Structure Prediction Applications Challenged by Limited Training Data, accompanied by Professor Jens Myler. Dr. Damin Xia, Civil Engineering, Highly Efficient Computational Models for Micromechanics of Polycrystalline Materials in the Presence of Large Strains and Microstructurally Short Cracks, accompanied by Professor Chalar Oskay. Dr. Zhezhou Yang, Chemical Engineering, Preparation of bipolar membranes for water splitting and water generation, accompanied by Professor Peter Pintauro. Dr. Haley Elizabeth Yaramich, Psychological Sciences, Nonlinear Models with Moderated Parameters, New Methods and Software for Social Science Applications, accompanied by Professor Chris Preacher. Dr. Hee-sun Yu, Political Science, 3 essays on political economy of organized crime, accompanied by Professor Brett Benson. Dr. Shiyuan Yu, Environmental Engineering, Leaching and Environmental Impacts of Electric Arc Furnace Slag During Residential Use, accompanied by Professor David Cosson and Professor Andrew Garabrandt. Dr. Junda Zhu, Neuroscience, Trajectories of Cognitive and Neural Maturation in Adolescent Primates, accompanied by Professor Christos Konstantinidis. Dr. David Matthew Shibnicki, Mechanical Engineering, development and assessment of powered and passive prostheses to improve functionality and mobility for individuals with transtibial limb loss. Dr. James Robert Zimmer Dauphiné, Anthropology. Trans-regional perspectives on agricultural de-intensification in the colonial Andes through remote sensing and AI-assisted archaeological survey, accompanied by Professor Stephen Wernke. Dr. Linhe Xu, Psychological Sciences, the Evo-Devo of variations in neuronal cell size, from comparative genomics to firing activities, accompanied by Professor Susana Herculana Hozel. Dr. Elisa R. Zoltowski, Neuroscience, Putting the Self in Context, an integrative analysis of interoception in autism, accompanied by Professor Carissa Cassio. Dr. Jennifer Marie Pilat, Cancer Biology. Selinop modifies sporadic colorectal carcinogenesis and WNT signaling activity through LRP5 or 6 interactions, accompanied by Professor Christopher Williams. Dr. Maria Luisa de Mello Tupanamba Jabur, Biological Sciences, A Clock for All Seasons, Ecology and Evolution of Circadian Clocks, accompanied by Professor Carl Johnson and Professor Nicole Crayenza. Dr. K-Wen Xu, Computer Science, Advancing Preventative Care with Medical Imaging AI, Unveiling the Potential of AI Body Composition in Lung Cancer Screening, accompanied by Professor Bennett Landman.
Dr. Ho Hin Lee, Computer Science, Exploring Explainable Optimization and Medical Segmentation Network for Multi-Scale Generalization with Anatomical Atlas, accompanied by Professor Bennett Landman.
Dr. Chi Yang, Computer Science, Characterizing Brain and Body Connections through Data-Efficient Medical Image Segmentation.
Dr. Sean Thomas Fitzgerald, Biomedical Engineering, Non-Invasive Characterization of Otitis Media with Image-Guided Raman Spectroscopy, accompanied by Professor Anita Mahavadan Jansen.
Dr. Alec Bryant Walter, Biomedical Engineering, Development and validation of a multi-wavelength optical system for the dosimetry and therapeutic use of antimicrobial photodynamic therapy, accompanied by Professor Duco Jansen.
Please join me in congratulating all of our PhD graduates.
On behalf of the Graduate School, I'd like to thank the Brass Quintet, the faculty marshals, and the banner bearers. In addition, we'd like to recognize those who have made this achievement possible in their own ways. Faculty and mentors have provided valuable guidance and training. And of course, we are grateful for family and friends who have supported and encouraged these students along the way. We ask you to please remain seated during the recessional so that faculty and graduates may exit first. Then join us for bubbly and berries and a reception under the tent right next door. Please join me in one final round of applause to congratulate our graduates.
Thank you.